All right. Good afternoon. Good morning, wherever you are. It's a rainy day in Southern California. It's March 28th, 2022. And I'm Joe Tarosian, and this is RamView, where we talk Ram football, hopefully 5 days a week. I apologize. Last week, I was not online on Thursday, Friday. I was actually on a road trip. I'm on a board of directors at a campground up north called Granite Ridge in Creston, California. And we had some internet issues, or I had some internet issues, and I could not do a broadcast. So I do apologize for that because I said I would be on. And when you say you're going to be on, you should be on, especially for the 20 so odd people that have agreed to follow me so far on YouTube. And I'd like to get that number a little higher. And the way you get that higher is hitting what you promised. But we're going to talk some Ram football today and a little bit around the NFL, not much, but just where the Rams are, because we are now we're about a month away now from the draft. About a day and a month, 32 days, something like that. And so everything's starting to heat up more. And you're seeing names repeated over and over again as far as draft potential, the second wave of free agency, and everything's taking place. And the whole argument over and over again right now is sign Bobby Wagner, sign Bobby Wagner, sign Bobby Wagner. And I think when you're signing Bobby Wagner, you are signing for the name. I don't know if you're getting that significantly better when you bring in Bobby Wagner. Of course, experience, character, all that stuff, leadership, everything. I agree. He would be a help to the team, absolutely. But he was ranked 15th overall at his position in 2021. Not bad. Okay, 2020. He was 9th against the run. Great. That would certainly help the Rams. But he's 31st in coverage. And we saw what the Rams struggled with last year in terms of what first Kenny Young and then Troy Reeder in terms of coverage off-ball linebackers. And what would Wagner bring other than his name to that aspect of it? Because the league is changing and the old classic linebacker, that position's fading away. Another thing to think about with Bobby Wagner, who, again, it would be great at $5 million, $6 million. I don't think anything beyond 6 for 1 year is what I would want to do. But neither team in the Super Bowl last year, the Rams or the Bengals, had a linebacker, an off-ball linebacker, rank in the top 30, okay? And they made it to the Super Bowl. The Rams went on the road. They beat Kyler Murray at home. They beat Tom Brady on the road. They beat Jimmy G and the Niners at home. And they did that with Ernest Jones, who was the 32nd overall ranked off-ball linebacker last year. The Bengals did all their stuff, including beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead with Logan Wilson. He was the number 31 ranked off-ball linebacker last year. And so it's a position that's important, but not that important. And so what am I saying? I'm saying you're not going to give Bobby Wagner 11 rocks for the 2022 season. And I think Rams fans should be focused on some other things. Namely, I don't know if I believe in John Wolford as a backup quarterback. I mean, we don't want anything to happen to Matthew Stafford, but is there anything? I know the Rams believe in him, so the benefit of the doubt. Is there anything in John Wolford that says, oh, yeah, he could fill in for 3 games in a Colt McCoy fashion? We don't know. So those are areas I'm more concerned about. Maybe some depth at the linebacker position, but $11 million worth of depth behind Ernest Jones and Travon Howard, I don't know. The thing that it's hard for us to get around nowadays, and I'm not a wide open free thinker, Mr. Analytics guy, but the great running back and epic linebacker are fading positions in the NFL. The future of the running back is committee, and we see that right now. It's happening now. There are very few feature backs anymore, and that used to be a premium. I mean, you see some of the names that are bantied about right now, the Walker kid from Michigan State and some of the other names that are bantied out. They're talking about them second round or very late first round. And names like that would have been solid first round picks in the past. But everyone knows you are really rolling the dice if you give a running back a second contract. You get those first 4 years, and if you can get them again at a real reasonable price. But unfortunately, they are disposable. And the linebacker position, the position of Jack Lambert, the position of Jack Ham, all those great linebackers from the past, that is turned into and is turning into a heavy safety that can run. Okay. Uh, a heavy safety being someone built like Traven Howard in size, who was a safety in college. Traven Howard, 6'1", 219, and he was ranked like had an 80. He's graded out of an 84 in terms, or an 88 in terms of coverage. So for a linebacker, he's a guy that can run, and that is what the position's going to be as the league goes more and more to passing. Do you still need that plug a hole linebacker? Absolutely. But you're going to need more and more linebackers built like Traven Howard, 6'1", 219. Ernest Jones is a very lanky 6'2", 230. He didn't look 230 to me, but he's 230. Bobby Wagner, 6 foot 245, and he's in his 30s. And you're not going to give him 11 rocks to do a job that, he was only so at in 2021. So you won a Super Bowl with Ernest Jones. You won a Super Bowl with Traven Howard, not even taking a defensive snap. So I don't know if it's necessary. Speaking of free agents, we've talked about, we knew what was coming up with the Rams this year in terms of who they were going to be losing and who was on the block, Darius Williams and everybody. But have you thought about the class that's playing in 2022 that are in their contract year? And that's something else to think about. And I want to kind of segue to that right now. And again, just letting you know that you can follow me here on Joe T Sports. You can hit like and subscribe, which really helps. Hit share, leave some comments, talk to your friends. You know the whole routine. And when I get a big enough audience and a big enough ego, I won't burden you with that. I'm also a writer. I write books, and you can find those books on Amazon. I've written a couple of football books, Tangent Dreams and Temple City, Company of the Ages, that have done very well. And I'm also a Christian writer, and so I've written some explicitly Christian novels as well. And again, all those on, and you can also see those highlighted at my website, joetarosian.com. And I pastor a small church in Burbank. And as I said earlier, I sit on the board of a summer camp up in Creston, California. So there you go. That's all you need to know about me. But getting to the free agents this year that the Rams are going to be looking at, or I'm sorry, that are on the Rams roster who are playing their final year of their contract. And I'll read off a few of these names. One of them is Darrell Henderson, who the Rams seemed to wait a couple years for, right? 19, 20. And then we really got some great clicks out of him this year. He did seem a little slower than he did when he first came, but also it looked like he put on some weight because as Cam Akers went down in the summer, if you remember, actually before summer training began with his torn Achilles, Henderson immediately moved up to the top spot. And because he was injury prone and still is injury prone, it looked like he packed on some extra weight. And you can't fault what the Rams got out of Darrell Henderson this year. He's making 1.6 in 2022. His possible projected market value could be up to $6 million a year. And he's on the right side of 30. But do you think the Rams are going to pay that much to keep Darrell Henderson? I think you ship him in and you ship him out, and it's like a assembly line or they roll them in, they get their 3 or 4 years out of these guys, and then they move on. I think there will be a market for Henderson. The thing is that the running back position is not highly valued. I don't think he's going to get 6 rocks, but someone might. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays for him. At a much more premium position, who's playing in his contract year, is left guard David Edwards, who's been starting alongside Andrew Whitworth the last couple of years, and he'll be starting alongside Joseph Noteboom this year. He made 2.7 in 2021, and he projects to cost a little over 4 in after 2022. And so it'll be interesting to see what the Rams do with him. Also, I think they want to see him develop. He one of the top tier guards. If you figure there are 2 starting guards on 32 teams, so there's 64 starting guards in the NFL. Edwards was right there in the middle of the pack at 33. The Rams won a Super Bowl with Edwards at right guard or at left guard. And so, why not keep him if he keeps getting better? If you go out there and you see something a little bit better, I think the Rams thought when they looked at Austin Corbett, it was easy to let him walk because I think they thought they can get something better. And it's that Rams interior part of the line that struggles so much that makes every quarterback sneak or short yardage situation a real adventure. So if Edwards plays well, I could see him staying. If not, I don't know. Another one in his contract year is Rob Havenstein. Because of the way the contract's set up, his 2024 and 2025 are all voidable years in his contract. So he becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2023. He'll turn 30 this season, but he's been an underrated, fantastic find for the Rams. He graded out ninth among tackles by Pro Football Focus. He makes about 8 rocks now, and he's looking to possibly go up to 9 or 10 or even more next season. And then you have to ask yourself, did the Rams get their best out of Havenstein? Do they move on next guy up, or do they keep him as an anchor? Again, I think it's 50-50. You don't know what's going to happen there. Nothing to fault about Rob Havenstein. He's been fantastic. And so they're projecting him at 3 years, $29 million next season. And of course, we'll see. Not next season, in 2023. In 2022, he's going to be the Rams starter, but he is in his contract year. Other names coming up in their last year of their contracts, Bobby Evans. And this is really make or break. The Rams invested a 3rd-round pick of him in 2019. He really has not developed yet. He had opportunities to start, and he did not make the most of it. And so it's put up a shut-up for him. And we'll talk a little bit more about him later. Greg Gaines, who stepped in for Sebastian Joseph Day, who was playing very well. Gaines stepped in for him and was fantastic. He was even better. He's making 2.5 rocks this season. As a free agent next year, he projects close to 6. And knowing that Day walked, knowing that Morgan Fox was allowed to walk. But we also got Aaron Donald now hitting his 9th, 10th, 11th season. Makes you wonder what the Rams may do with Gaines, because Gaines has been fantastic. He's been a grade above Fox and Sebastian Joseph Day. And so I think he could be an option for them to keep. Ashawn Robinson was fantastic this season. He'll be 28. He's making 8 rocks again. Depending the development of the rest of the defensive line, I think he's going to be tough to replace. But I also don't think the Rams are going to put a lot in there. So it'll be interesting to see who the Rams they have players on the roster that they like, that they've kept around. And by and large, there's the practice player, and then there's that swing player between practice squad and active squad that the Rams kind of keep an eye on, right? Greg Gaines was one of those guys. Morgan Fox was one of those guys that, okay, we're going to keep them around because we believe we can get something out of them, right? And it'll be interesting to see how this plays out with Ashawn Robinson, because his next contract will take him over 30. One of those guys the Rams have kept around for a couple of years, Justin Hollins. He's making $965,000 this year. He was a starter last year until he got hurt, came back, contributed, played in the Super Bowl. The Rams are okay with him starting on the edge opposite Leonard Floyd. He's not Von Miller, but this is his opportunity to really step up, secure that position, and maybe secure a contract going forward. It's not good for safeties, as we talked about in the past. Taylor Rapp's making 2.5. Nick Scott's making $965 this season. Something incredible is going to have to happen for those guys to get a second contract with the Rams. The Rams just don't do second contracts for safeties. And right now they got Jordan Fuller on the roster and Terrell Burgess. And so it's very easy to see either Rapp and Scott, or both Rapp and Scott, be given their walking papers at the end of the year, unless something incredible happens, injury propels them to another level, something. But I think we're discovering Nick Scott. I think we know exactly what Taylor Rapp is, and I don't see him in LA after this season. Maybe Nick Scott, because he's only making $965 this year, and might not go to the next level just yet. That's a possibility. He can get tendered or whatever they do. But Taylor Rapp, I think you're looking at his last year. David Long's in that category also. He's in his contract year, and he's making $9.65. I think he's better than a lot of people say. But again, if he has a good year, I think he stays, because corners are a little more of a premium than safeties. The Rams have shown that. And so that they value them. Robert Rochelle's on the roster, but also a lot of projections here on what the Rams are looking at in terms of the draft. So it'll be interesting to see. If Long has a so-so year, he's gone. He's long gone. No joke intended there. We're coming up to the 15-minute mark. As you look at the mock drafts, it keeps showing the Rams listing here at going for an offensive lineman first. And we see that playing out. Just a couple of mock drafts from yesterday that I looked at. Secondary, corner. I didn't see a safety in this round of a mock drafts for the Rams. Edge, and then at the bottom of the queue there, defensive line and running back is something the Rams could be looking at in the 6th and 7th rounds. One of the things you have to do with the Rams is give them the benefit of the doubt. Very few misses in the draft in the Snead-McVay era, okay? One who's on the block right now is Bobby Evans. He was a 3rd-round pick in 97. 3rd and 97 overall in 2019. And so I really think he's flirting really close with being a bust. Terrell Burgess is just not getting on the field, and he's going into his 3rd year. And he was drafted 104 overall in the 3rd round. And you have to wonder what the plan is for him because he's not seeing any action. A couple guys that in those drafts from 2017 to 2021 that we're looking at, John Franklin Myers was released by the Rams very early on, I think in 2019. He's gone to the Jets, and he's played really well with the Jets. So in terms of he didn't play for the Rams, but he's not a bust. Micah Kaiser is still floating around and playing. I believe he just signed a contract with the Raiders after leaving Denver. But these guys wouldn't be considered busts. Bobby Evans, Terrell Burgess, you want to keep an eye on. I say that because only going into their 2nd year, Tutu Atwell, Bobby Brown, Jacob Harris, Ernest Brown. None of them really contributed at all last year. We put all of it on Atwell because he's 57th overall pick. But Bobby Brown, defensive line, didn't play a down last year. And the Rams are looking at defensive line again. So it makes you wonder. Jacob Harris, Rams are loaded at receiver. He's that hybrid tight end wide receiver. But wow, I thought, he's not built like him, but Bryson Hopkins filled that role real nice. And so we're going to see if Jacob Harris develops. And then Ernest Brown, kind of a linebacker edge guy. We'll see what happens with him in terms of where he progresses into next season. Latest mock drafts show the Rams. One has them looking at Donovan West, a center with the 3rd-round pick out of Arizona State. And then another name I had not heard, which was refreshing, Cordell Flott, cornerback out of LSU in the 4th round. And what's happening in some cases is you're going to be looking at all these mock drafts online, and sometimes you're just going to see names, and there's 2 things you got to do is if you're just seeing names repeated over and over again in drafts that look similar, it's not beyond other, how do I say this in a polite way, draft sites to look at somebody else's draft site and just repeat what somebody else has said. Or it's like a game of operators. Someone else brings up a name, you bring up a name, you bring up a name, you bring up a name. I'm not a draft site. I'm not saying I'm a draft site. I'm just trying to float names in front of you. But also it's like sometimes you're looking at some sites and it's like, wait a second, are you doing any thinking? And then you got to go down. And if it's somewhere in the middle there, you see some fresh names, you go, okay, all right, they're doing some thinking here. One of the mock drafts I recently saw had, again, Jeffrey Gunter, an edge rusher out of Coastal Carolina, has the Rams' 3rd-round pick at 104 overall. BYU's James Empey, a name I haven't seen for a few weeks. He popped up 4th round. He's a center, but he needs to develop, which is not what the Rams are against at all, right? Linebacker Leo Chenal out of Wisconsin. I've seen him as high as a 3rd-round pick for the Rams, which made me kind of question because they just spent a 3rd overall on Ernest Jones, right? And so it makes you kind of wonder about that one. But this is in the 5th round. They're looking at Leo Chenal. Cordell Volson, offensive tackle, North Dakota State. I've seen that name before. Missouri, cornerback Allie Green, the 4th cornerback, looking at him in the 6th round. Now, 3 names I had not seen that popped up in the last pick with the 6th and the 2 7th-round picks. And you're thinking, oh, man, 6th and 7th round, who cares? You should care because of all the history that we've seen in the McVay, Snead era of the clicks they've gotten out of these players in the 6th and 7th rounds. If Ben Skoranek doesn't play another down for the Rams, then being drafted in the 7th round and the 250 marker, 251, was an excellent pick because the Rams got great blocking and good clicks out of Ben Skoranek, and they got that out of the 7th round pick and won the Super Bowl. So that's what you're looking for. You're not necessarily looking for a superstar, but what's a guy that can give me some plays, give me some snaps, and give me some clicks? And name that popped up was Akil Glass, a quarterback out of Alabama A&M. Looking at him in the 6th pick, 6th round, and I thought it was interesting because the Rams just signed John Wolford. They tendered him. I don't think there's a market for John Wolford. We also got Bryce Perkins out there, who everyone liked during the preseason. Not quite the Nelson Spruce Award winner, but he was pretty close. And now there's rumor here of this Akil Glass. The Rams have drafted, I think I mentioned, 2 quarterbacks or 1 quarterback in this whole era. And one of them was Jared Goff. The other one was Mannion and Shane Mannion. And so it'll be interesting to see if they take another quarterback. As I've said, I'm not real comfortable with John Wolford. I think the Wolf had a great game 2 years ago. I think he had a great game, and he helped us get in the playoffs. Then he got whacked in Seattle, and Goff came in with a busted thumb and did the best job he could. I'm not sold on Wolford. I know they say the team likes him. He runs great scout team. People really like him. And so if the Rams like him, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I'd like to see the Rams go after another quarterback, someone that can fill in for 3 games. Minnesota guard Blaze Andres is another one that popped up here. I hadn't seen his name before in the 7th round. And then Baylor running back Abram Smith, 7th round. And surprising or not, Abram Smith played at the Senior Bowl, which wouldn't preclude the Rams from going after him. He would be a help on special teams. And it would be interesting to see what the Rams do, because really behind Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson, it is Jake Funk and some dudes. Xavier Jones, and I think is it Calais is there. And so you don't know what you're getting out of those guys. And so it would be easy for the Rams to go after another running back that they could develop, get some clicks out of. The running backs make great special team players. So that's kind of the stuff. I wanted to actually get this out last weekend, but I couldn't. Don't be hung up on the Bobby Wagner thing, folks. Don't be hung up on it. The Rams are okay without him. You're just kind of saying a name. And so look at some of these other spots the Rams need to fill to add depth. All right, I'm Joe Terosian. Thank you so much for clicking on. And we will see you hopefully tomorrow, likely tomorrow, and go from there. Have a great day, and keep thinking those good thoughts about the Rams. We'll talk to you soon.